and my husband stayed home with Tara. So I think that was actually a huge shocker for him and how much work it was staying with Tara. And I really appreciate that he did that because we don't have that culture in Canada, and I've never met a man in Canada that 안녕하세요. 캐나다에서 온 아만다입니다. I came from Canada, but when I first came, I worked as a fashion model and I was traveling the world as a model. That's the reason why I first came to Korea. But after getting married and having a baby, I started teaching English. I worked at an academy and now I have my own tutoring business for teaching English. So I'm an English teacher now. Technically, we've been married since 2015, but we had our wedding about a year after we signed the papers. So I guess depending on when you consider first getting married, so either 2015 or 2016. So today I'm going to talk about why it's good to raise a child with a Korean husband. My husband's here today. I can talk to him about him. My husband is a great man, but even more so, he's an amazing father, which is my favorite thing about him. He is a wonderful father to Tara. The reason that I married him was not for any specific quality. Like, I didn't marry him for his money or his looks or anything, even though he is handsome. So it's hard for me to answer that question always because there was just something. There's just something and I fell in love. So I can't explain it in words why I chose him. But getting to know him more and more through our marriage, we've had ups and downs. Of course, any marriage is like that. But I've learned to love him more as I learn more about him and as we age together. We met in Seoul, Hangang Park by Apgujeong. I was actually walking my dogs and my husband was playing basketball there with friends, and we both had a mutual friend, American. We just had a picnic together afterwards with a bunch of people, and that's how we met. He was just such a sweet man. He was just charming. But when we first met, actually, he had a girlfriend and I had a boyfriend. We didn't meet in a falling in love kind of way. It was later that that happened. Right, so we actually don't do everything Korean style. That was actually a challenge in the beginning when Tara was first born. We fought a lot about it because the cultural difference. Right now, Tara sleeps alone. Since birth, I did sleep training with her, so she's always had her own room. So we've never had that issue with the father sleeping with the child or father sleeping in his own room. We never did that. We had like a little CCTV camera for Tara, her own baby cam. But now that she's older, she always makes one of us stay with her till she falls asleep. But after she falls asleep, we leave the room and she sleeps by herself the whole night. Well, sometimes she'll come in the night and get me if she has a nightmare or something, right?
I'm not even only about that before.
Oh, okay. The nightmare's about bugs.
So what if Tara cries during the night?
She doesn't. That's the thing. But if she does, she walks and she comes to our room and she gets us. Like, Mommy, I need you. When she was younger, so we had the camera. So if she cried, then I would go and... Like, sleep training was really difficult. When she was a little baby, there was like a time limit. Even though she cried, you don't go. You wait. And after a time, if she's still crying, you go and check on her. But usually she would just fall asleep again.
What is the hardest thing raising a baby?
Oh, I don't know. It makes you a different person. Especially in Korea, moms, like, I feel like you're no longer yourself. You're just now a mom. They just tell you, like, my name changes to Tera Oma. So I don't get to be like my own person anymore. So it kind of consumes my whole life. Everything I do is always about the baby. The baby comes first. My whole life became Tera. So that was hard for me at first, but I love her so much. It became not hard because I just got used to it, and she's just so much a part of me now. One day without her, I would miss her. Yes, he works really hard. When Tara was a young baby, I took time off work and my husband was the only one working. So he would work so many hours. We didn't see him a lot. He would only see Tara like an hour a day and he'd always be working. And that was really stressful for me. So when Tara was about 2 years old, we kind of switched positions and I started tutoring. We started our English business and my husband stayed home with Tara. So I think that was actually a huge shocker for him and how much work it was staying with Tara. And I really appreciate that he did that because a lot of men don't understand like what it takes to take care of children. It's like 2 full-time jobs. Oh, also he's Tara's manager for all of her photo shoots and she's busy. Yes, I think Korean people sometimes work too much. I have so many friends that they work all day. The hours are ridiculous. It goes from like studying in school to working. So there's not a lot of leisure time for many people. A little bit sad. In Canada, everything closes at like 7 p.m. People don't really work that late. Of course, people work hard in Canada, but the work culture is not the same. Right, so I think my parents love my husband so much. Before I met him, I was a little bit wild, but it's the respect thing. Like, my husband speaks to my parents so respectfully, and we don't have that culture in Canada. So even my dad, when he first met my husband, he said, "Oh, call me by my first name," and he's joking with my husband. And Tara's dad was like, "I can't do that." So my parents really appreciate that he's so polite and he's so respectful to them. Other people in my family, like my little brother's wife, not respectful like that. So it's a completely different culture that I prefer, the Korean way. When Tara grows up too, I hope she's respectful to me and my husband like that. One different thing is my husband is very, what's the word, like metrosexual. He cares a lot about how he looks. So he takes care of like his skin. He takes care of getting his hair done regularly. He cares about fashion. And I've never met a man in Canada that, like, I have two brothers and I don't know if my brothers ever even do their hair.
How was the marriage proposal?
Oh, so romantic. My husband's better at telling the story, but I love touristy things and my husband hates touristy things. So one day, suddenly he said, "We're gonna go on a touristy date today." So I was so excited. And he said, "Before that, let's go shopping." So he took me to the mall and we got like couple outfits. It was such a nice mood. And he took me to Namsan Tower and we went up the cable car and the sun was setting. It was such a beautiful background. And suddenly when we got there, some man came up to us and said, "I'm a photographer. You guys are a lovely couple. Can I take your photo? You have to come over here for the picture." So we went over to this like great area. We sat down and suddenly there was another man playing the guitar. This romantic music started playing. And then my husband went down on one knee and proposed. And he had the little lock and we wrote like, "Will you marry me? Yes." And we put the little locks on Namsan. And I didn't know, but the guitarist and the photographer, those were his friends. So he prepared everything for this big romantic scene. Bad news is though, his friend photographer did not put film or had some camera error. So we don't actually have the pictures from that. But I think I took one picture of the locks when we put them up on the... Oh, dalbobo, yes. Oh, there's an expression in English for this. Like when she has you wrapped around her little finger. So you will do anything for your daughter. My father and I have this relationship. When I was a baby, my dad spoiled me like this. I was like his little princess. And Tara is like that for us too sometimes. She melts our heart. It's hard to say no. Actually, compared to a lot of my friends, I'm a very strict mother. I like to raise Tara more like Montessori style. I want her to be independent. I don't want to be doing everything for her. I want her to learn on her own. Makes me look very strict. No, you go to the bathroom by yourself, you learn. It's kind of the opposite of dalbabble, but sometimes when we're out in the mall or something and she wants a toy, I turn into dalbabble.
Do you think your husband is dalbabble?
Yeah, totally. Every day. I go out to walk the dogs and I come back like, "Tara, why are you watching a movie?" Or, "Tara, why are you playing with this?" Tara says, "I'm sorry. She's so cute. She asked me so nicely." We did. Originally we wanted a big family and we tried after Tara. We went to the hospital. I did like some fertility help with the doctors and I was pregnant, but we lost that baby and it was really hard on my body and really hard on me emotionally. I was like a mess for months. So I don't want to do that again. It was too hard for me. So even though it's been years now, I can't even think about it. But I know my husband still wants to have another child. There's a possibility in the future if I can. Today I talked about the reasons why it's nice to have a Korean husband. And if you liked the video, please like and subscribe. 감사합니다.